What is the dumbest question someone legitimately asked you? About 25 years ago I was explaining time zones to a 20-ish-year-old intern at a large scientific agency. She wasn't getting it, so I got an orange I brought for lunch and used it as the earth. Me, okay, pretend this is the earth. The sun only shines on one side, so it's day on approximately half at any given time. Now since the earth rotates as I spin the orange. Intern, so wait, hold on. So you're saying the earth is round? I wish I was joking. An American once asked me to say something in my native tongue. I'm Australian. FCK off you dopey can't. Are you gay? No. Why? I don't know Jerry, just not feeling it today. Had a customer ask if she could pay her bill over the phone. I asked what kind of credit card. Cash. She wanted to pay cash over the phone. Someone asked me at work if this mirror was expired because it had a manufactured date on the back. I was weighing a patient and she asked me if it measured in Celsius. I used to be a cast member at a Renaissance fair and we did fairly historic reenactment right down to the wood burning oven at our village inn. I once had a grown man ask me if the fire in the fire pit was real and what would happen if he stuck his hand in it. My eyes are two different colors, and the question I'm most often asked about them is, did you know your eyes are two different colors? I'm amused when someone asks me whether I see different colors out of each eye, or, even better, whether I see in 3D. A co-worker at the library was asked for aerial photos of the Colosseum in Rome before it was in ruins. Edit, Colosseum. One day one of my students said, I have to work today. To which I replied, so do I. He looked at me and asked, honestly, oh really? Where do you work? Here. I work here. Right where I'm standing. I don't do this as a service to your parents. In grade 10 science a girl argued vehemently with our teacher that zebras were a mythical creature, like a unicorn. After asking why they paint the stripes on the horses for the nature videos, I assure you, it was not a troll. Boss, could you print out that file, scan it, and email it to me? Me, I could just email it to you. Boss. Not anything super mind-boggling, but I worked as a server at an infamous Italian restaurant during college. Here's my interaction with a guest one evening. Gee, I'd like to order the spaghetti with marinara sauce, but can I get fettuccine noodles instead? Sure thing. Oh, and I'd like to please substitute the marinara with Alfredo sauce. And please add chicken. I would have to charge you for the chicken Alfredo. Note there was a few dollars in price difference between the two dishes, Alfredo being more expensive. But I ordered the spaghetti with marinara. I legitimately had to argue with this person for a few moments as to why I couldn't magically substitute out the entire entree for a different one with no price difference. Guest ended up being super crabby for the remainder of the time and I'm fairly certain didn't tip at all. Edit, thanks for the gold. My first ever. Definitely fills the hole that stupid guest left years ago. If you had a heart transplant, would your memories go away? I never asked it, but when I was younger I wondered how the leaves made their way back onto trees after they fell during the autumn before. I thought they migrated like birds back onto the branches. How long did it take you to drive from Australia to America? I've been asked this twice. I wish I could say I had a witty response, but my brain froze as it tried to compute the stupidity of the question. No offense to Americans, just these two particular idiots. I've lived in the US most of my life. Going through the border from Canada into the US. Border guard, what's your citizenship? Me, hands over passport, which notes my birthplace as Vancouver, British Columbia, Canadian. Border guard, no, what's your citizenship? Me, louder in Canadian. Border guard, yelling what's your citizenship? Me, I don't know what you're asking me. Border guard, where were you born? Was it Columbia? Me, British Columbia is a province in Canada. Border guard, waves me through. If pasta is a food, she then proceeded to actually argue that it wasn't. A girl asked me if honey came from bears. I'll never forget it. I used to work for Bank of America as a teller. Someone gave me half a $20 bill and asked for $10. They did not understand that it's either worth $20 or nothing. Tourist, when will the ceiling open up to see outside? Me, the tour guide. What do you mean, mom? Tourist, when will the ceiling open above the waterfall so we can see outside? Me, mom. Like I said many times already, we are 1,000 feet underground. This is a cave with no sunroof. Background info. Worked at tourist attraction where you're taken underground to see a waterfall. We make it very clear the whole time that we are underground. This question blindsided me like no other. I was training a new colleague in the cafe I worked at. We have a number of plant-based milk substitutes. As I was trying to explain to her, some people don't drink dairy, often because cow's milk contains lactose. Alright, so what animal does soy milk come from? I once had a girl genuinely ask me if we lived in the bushes when I told her I used to live in Kenya. My kid just completed first grade, had an Africa unit, and they specifically studied Kenya. But she came home telling me how Africa is hot and dry, and people live in huts made of grass and mud. Multiple times I had to explain how truly huge Africa is, and the variety of climate, and that her teacher may be teaching about traditional food / customs / dress / housing. But Kenya and other African nations are full of citizen people that look a lot like here. I feel the unit did more of a disservice than a service. I used to work at Disney World, and a question I would get on the daily is what time is the 3 o'clock parade? Used to be a radio DJ and had a feature called The 8 is at 8. Someone called and asked what time it started. Edit, you're just going to have to trust me that people knew it was sometime in the PM hours. Working at desk. Do y'all have any of them wireless internet cables? My steady deadpan blinking face wasn't enough of a response, so my colleague chimed in and said, it's already plugged in. If penguins need water to survive, doesn't that mean spearfish? My friend saw someone with a tattoo of a cross on their wrist and asked them, hey, is that tattoo yours? No matter how many times he tries to explain what he meant by this, I still don't get it. I used to work at a bakery. A customer once asked me, when the bread isn't warm anymore, that means it's not fresh anymore, so I can have it for free, right? No. Wasn't that building destroyed on 9/11? She was pointing to the Prudential Center in Boston. Isn't it a shame unicorns went extinct? This person was an adult and thought unicorns existed during medieval times. My cousin bought a map from a nearby fancy store for tourists. After perusing it for no less than 2 hours, she asked me, how does this north-south stuff work? The side I'm facing is north, right? And if I turn right, north also turns right. No, she was 20. My friend and I were both Boy Scouts and both got Eagle. Like 2 years later I had to explain to him how a compass works. We were probably 20. His problem though was he couldn't figure out where on the compass northwest, east and south were. Like the compass only showed N. So it can be worse. Are you Korean? No. Why? Because you're skinny, and all Koreans are skinny. Well, I'm Filipino. But Filipinos are usually more chubby, aren't they? My wife at the time saw the headline "Buffalo buried in 5 feet of snow." I don't remember the exact measurement. She asked why don't they just dig the poor guy out? There was a picture of the city under the headline. Why do meteors always land in craters? My friend once asked, what if they made a sea world, but instead it's centered around a land? I responded with, so basically, a zoo. What's Obama's last name? Is cherry vanilla Coke made with cherries and vanilla mixed together, or is it made with vanilla cherries? Vanilla cherries. Watching a documentary on dinosaurs in class once, girl sitting at table in front of me turns around as the documentary is playing. Hey. They didn't have cameras around when there were dinosaurs. Right. I just turned to my friend and we both started laughing. Good times. I miss geology. Edits. Grandma. Walks in and gives last name to receptionist. Are you sure that's your name? No. It's just what was in the top hat today. FYI, this was at the post office. So Trump is our president, right? Does that mean he's in charge of our state or the whole world? Sorry, but I've never understood this whole president thing. This was asked to me by a fellow high school senior in civics class. Not me, but overheard someone asking a restaurant server, your coupon says it's valid 7 days a week. Does this include weekends? She asked me why the sky in Georgia and the sky in California look the same. On a ski lift, at what elevation do deer turn into elk? Don't you find it stupid that Obama is the only president without a last name? While working at a toy store, a customer walked up to me and said, "Excuse me, y'all got one of them balls with the map on it?" I had an American ask me if California was a state. At a zoo, my friend asked me if some rocks in the rhino exhibit were rhino eggs. American: do you have airplanes in South America? Me: no, I got here swinging on vines that hang from our trees. One of my good friends builds computers. He sold me the components of his old desktop, and he brought it over to my house so he could transfer them to a new case for me and then build his new computer. It was taking a while and my mom was agitated that he was there so long and asked, "Is what you're doing even legal? How did you get your hands to look like white people's?" Imation: all I did was paint my nails with French tip. Does painting them white make me look white? I think not. Edit: thank you for all the upvotes. I thought my question was kind of random and highly unrelatable at first. Was asked to a friend of mine who worked in a bookshop, "Excuse me, do these stairs go up?" I was a freshman in college sitting in biology class and had a girl raise her hand and ask, "This might be dumb, but what do trees do?" The teacher had to ask her if she was being serious, which she said yes, and the look on his face was priceless. You could tell he was thinking, how the frick are you even in college? I moved to Canada to attend university, and one girl from my dorm asked me if we had jeans where I'm from. I had long hair in high school. I had a classmate who wanted to grow out his hair that wasn't very bright. He asked me in full seriousness, "Can you water your hair to make it grow faster?" And I just looked at him and I laughed at him pretty loudly because I thought he was joking. He wasn't. Do you speak American? This was in Paris, and we were sitting at a cafe next to this middle-aged woman and her husband. She was the one who asked. I looked at her kind of stunned, and she seemed to catch herself. "I mean English," she said. "Yes," I replied. "Can you read this menu for me? I can't bloody read French. I want an omelette. I want an omelette and some fruit." I took the menu from her, and the whole menu was written in English. Top 3 most memorable travel experiences I've ever had. Unfortunately. Edit: okay, to add some clarity to this, the menu was actually written in French with English translations of every item written underneath. Forgive my memory. This event happened back in the Bush years. When did dragons go extinct? My brother once asked if he needed to get American money to go to a tour from Toronto. After handing me a 50-cent coupon and me explaining the finally cost was $2.50. Well, damn, how much was it before the coupon? 3. When I moved back to Florida from Scotland, a girl I was hitting on at a bar asked me how long a drive that was. I wear a headscarf, and someone once asked me if I had ears. What day of the week is Good Friday on this year? A couple years ago, my aunt asked me if my hair color was natural, which at the time my hair was purple. I've had blue hair, purple hair, and my most common / frequent is bright as cherry red. With all of those colors, I've been asked if it was my natural hair by at least one baby boomer. Having a conversation about traveling. Me: I've always wanted to road trip up to Alaska and see the northern lights. Her looking at me like I'm a moron. "Oh yeah. How are you going to drive to Alaska?" Me: in my car. You can't drive there. And then I realized she thought Alaska was an island. I had to explain to her that although Alaska and Hawaii were always in little boxes next to the mainland of USA maps, that doesn't mean they're both islands. 10 years later I married her. Does Halloween ever fall on Friday the 13th? Took my buddy a few seconds combined with RWTF stares to realize what he had just asked Reddit. My bad everyone. Didn't even consider the fact that other countries don't celebrate Halloween. 5 Halloween is a set holiday that always falls on October 31st. Why did it rain just here and nowhere else? The sprinklers had been on. Did they use real dinosaurs in that movie? Talking about Dinosaur, the animated movie, and no, it wasn't a child. My stepmom once asked if islands float around in the ocean. My brother burst out laughing, and I just looked flatly at my dad and said, "You married this woman." We still give her grief about it. My sister was 13. She asked me if the reason 6 is associated with birds and bees was because of them cross-species mating. Since yeah no, that's where hummingbirds come from. FYI, birds plus BES equals NOT a hummingbird. Huh, so you don't really think there is a god? Me, no. I don't think so. Huh, HMM. So if you don't believe in anything, are you like interested in Scientology then? Like, would you consider yourself a Scientologist? Me, wait, what? Huh, isn't that like Scientology? Me, ha ha ha. Huh. Me, wait, are you serious? This same friend also looked up at the constellations and was like, wow, I think that's O'Brien's belt. I used to work customer service for an auto parts company. Here are some of the best that I can remember. How long is the 8-inch antenna? How big are the 18-inch wheels? Repeat those two with literally anything that had dimensions as part of the name. Can I just put 2 quarts of oil in my car to save weight? Why can't I put 17 tires on my 18 wheels? Context: we were both 17-year-old girls at the time. I had never had a boyfriend, and she'd had several. Can you get pregnant from swallowing? Me, no, it just goes into your stomach and you digest it. But there's a small chance, right? Me, no. But after your stomach it can go down there, right? Me, no. The digestive system and reproductive system aren't connected. Yeah, that last bit is technically untrue, but it was simple enough to get the point across to her. This is the sort of misunderstanding that happens because of abstinence only /6 edition. The only reason I knew anything about 6 was that I wanted to be a doctor and was obsessed with human biology.